Hi, I'm Joy.
Hi, I'm Susan.
And this is Girlish Gurus. And Susan, why are we here?
We are here to start a conversation about female empowerment and the issues facing women our age at this time, and to have some fun along the way.
So, let's get started.
Okay. Hi, and welcome back to Girlish Gurus. I'm Susan.
I'm Joy.
And we're really happy you're here for another episode.
Before we jump in, I do think it's important to say we now have a website. So if you are interested in finding us on the internet, you can look for us at girlishgurus.com, and we'll talk more about that as it evolves.
Yes, we'll be adding things little by little to kind of expand that website and provide you with some more fun things to read about or look at or find some of our favorite things. So we hope you'll enjoy that.
Okay, you want to get into today's topic?
Yeah. So today's topic is travel. It's one of mine and Joy's favorite things.
Oh, yes. I love travel. And in fact, when we were working on the background, the preparation for this, I really felt like this is just going to write itself.
I agree. Because we both love it so much and it's become such a part of our lives. And I can't imagine how different I would be had I not been able to travel the way I have over these past 30 years, more than 30 years, I guess, but I've been very fortunate. So I'm excited.
Yes, me too.
I'm excited about this topic.
Me too. Let's get going. It's going to be like traveling. It's going to be like going to different places, right?
Yes, we get to go back, right?
Sitting right here in this room.
Revisit all the places we've been. So, Joy, why don't we start out? Why don't you talk to me about what maybe are your top 3 things that are the reasons you like to travel?
Well, I wasn't always able to travel, of course. We've talked about this a lot. And it was only as I became an adult, I started in college when I had my own job and was making my own money, where I could afford to finally get to travel. And so for me, the things about travel that matter the most include just having experiences. Like you and I have talked about before, I don't need any more stuff.
Yes.
I want experiences. And that's my number one benefit from travel. And number 2, I like learning new things. So I like going to places I've never been before and looking around and seeing the history or learning about the community there or learning something about that location. That's so important to me. And it's been something I've enjoyed my whole life when I was finally able to start traveling. Mm-hmm. And finally, I got to tell you, it really does make me appreciate home more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of times by the time you do get home, you're just so, be in my back in my own bed. Mm-hmm. Right.
And we try to choose where we live as best we possibly can. Mm-hmm. And that kind of reminds you why you're choosing to live where you're at.
Right.
So
right, definitely.
A huge benefit of travel. Yes. What about you?
Well, I think ours overlap a little bit and no surprise there. But for me, yes, definitely the creating of memories. And for many years now, I don't need any more stuff. So for me, it's the creating of the memories that I can carry with me and the photos, because I go back and look at the photos I take, because I take tons when I travel. And I usually try to bring back something for my home that is going to remind me of a particular trip. Like
I never do that.
I have prints in my house and just little knickknacks and things. And those are the things that I sit around my home so that as I look at them, it brings back the memory of that wonderful trip. And I love that.
Yeah.
So that's a big one for me. And like you, like experiencing the new cultures, people, their lifestyles, the food, the history of that particular, learning about all of that. Just, I love it. I absolutely love it. Trying new and different foods, meeting some of the local people. That's always been fun. Going to the museums that are particular to that area. So that would be another one. And then for me, just seeing and experiencing, whether they be natural or man-made items, things, buildings, whatever, beauty, just seeing the beauty. You go to the Redwoods National Forest out in California. It's just takes your breath away.
Yes.
Takes your breath away. And then you go to Paris and you see the Eiffel Tower and you see Notre Dame. And so, there's all those, I've yet to go see the pyramids, but that's on my list. And to me, that's astonishing. So those would probably be my top 3.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very good.
So can you name maybe a trip that stands out for you that helped you to experience some of this the most, maybe? I know it's hard because it's hard. I can't name a favorite trip, I don't think. But I got so many different things from each of them that...
I can exactly pinpoint my favorite trip.
Okay.
And that was when my mom and I went to Europe when I was in college.
Oh, nice.
She and I pooled together as much money as we could, and we bought plane tickets to Germany because my brother was stationed at an Air Force base in Germany, and we flew over there, and he picked us up in Frankfurt, and we traveled around. We went to Paris, we went to Barcelona, and all around Germany and that area, and by far, that is, for so many reasons, one of the best trips I've ever taken, not the least of which is it was my first trip out of the continental United States. And I got to go with my mother, and we got to see just so many amazing things.
Right,
so
and
many.
Creating those memories with your mom that
Yes.
you'll always carry with you.
But we got to experience all the different cuisines and all the different locations and the people, and it was...
Right.
It was eye-opening and wonderful and just a truly cherished memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I was thrilled to get back home. Just because it was a long, long trip.
Yeah. How long were you gone?
We were gone for like 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was a long trip, and I didn't think I would miss home as much as I did, but I missed it. I missed being home.
Yeah. Yeah, I could imagine after 3 weeks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
It's hard for me to pick one place, really, but because I don't know, I've taken so many wonderful things from each trip I've made, and I love, one of the things, I kind of have this list. I want to try and get to 6 of the 7 continents, which I still have a few to go.
Not Antarctica.
That's the one I'm skipping, maybe. I'm not a cold weather person.
Nope.
But anyway. And then I'd like to get to all 50 states. And I've made it to almost all 50 states. I think I have like 8 left.
Mm.
And I love doing that too, because our country's so huge that actually the culture in almost every state is a little different too. So it's fun to go around all the states and see the type of food they have and the things that are important to that area of the country. That's, to me, a lot of fun too. But probably the 2 most impactful, I would say, would be my trip to India and my trip to Africa. Those 2 really just left such an impression on me that I was in awe from both. India, I was there a long time, almost 2 months, and I took a little segue off to the Philippines during my time there. But being able to spend that amount of time there, you really get a feel for the culture and the way things are. And it was so vastly different than us. And it just, I grew to love it by the end of the time I was there. And I would definitely go back.
I would love to go, yeah. Never been to Africa or India.
And then Africa, went on safari, and that was just a dream come true to be able to see the animals in their habitat and experience that. It was amazing. I mean, we got up before dawn every day to get out there and see the animals come to life in the midst of South Africa. And I don't know. It's just, you can't even explain what it's like to see. It's really incredible. So those
Beautiful experiences.
Yeah, they were. So outside of our travel, we did, as research for this, there are so many other reasons that people can find as benefits to travel, and they can be, anything from improving your health, which many articles have been written about how travel can improve your health. It reduces your stress. It improves your mental health. You're going to walk a lot more, most likely, when you're traveling. And I think it challenges you in many ways, all things that can really enhance and improve your health.
Yes, and those websites, we will include them in the description if you want to look through those lists yourself. But I agree with you. There are so many beneficial aspects of travel that it's hard to kind of pinpoint them quickly because it just opens your mind. It just does so many things for you, for your mental health, for your physical health, for your ability to think, your creativity, every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Just it's so impactful, definitely.
Yeah, I know for me, it really boosted my confidence. I've traveled a lot by myself, and that can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that you were able to go on a trip by yourself, manage to get everywhere you needed to go and see all the things you wanted to see and do it on your own. I mean, that's certainly a confidence builder. And I think if you're in a foreign country, you can't speak the language, and you get in a situation that's uncomfortable, or I could name stories, but like you might get lost, and like how do you get your way out of those things? You have to be in a place where you can make decisions quickly, and again, that's going to build your confidence
and be creative, because you have a pretty funny story about that, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have many, but the one that sticks out to me is my friend Susan and I actually took some cooking classes in Tuscany. We spent a week there, and when we got there, I was in charge of parts of the trip, and she was in charge of parts of the trip, and one of hers was to rent the car. So we get to where we thought we were supposed to pick up the car, and it wasn't there. And the gentleman behind the counter claimed he didn't speak English. I'm not sure if that was true or not, but Susan then proceeded to do the typical American tourist thing of speaking to the gentleman at the counter more slowly and loudly, and was like, "My reservation is under," and of course, that wasn't helping, but we ended up resolving all of it, but only because the two of us together, it was like, we got to stay calm. This is going to be fine. We ended up getting the car. It was just in a different spot somehow, and they were nice enough to get us there so we could pick up the car. But those things happen. And also on that trip, as I was driving the car, because it was a stick shift and she doesn't know how to drive one, I had a contact pop out of my eye. And I'm as blind as a bat without my contacts in. And we were panic stricken. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I had to pull off. We had to look all over the car for the contact. Luckily, we found it.
Oh, good.
I had no saline with me. I had to lick the contact just to get it back in my eye. It was a crazy trip. And we survived.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you have to do. But like you said, you got to be creative, and then it builds your confidence. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And that is something, traveling by yourself in the world, just in general. And we need to do probably another episode where we have suggestions about things you can do or how to get prepared for traveling by yourself, and just talk about some of the resources that you've used.
Yes.
And really lay that out carefully so anyone who's interested in travel,
like more the logistics of it. I think that's a great idea. We'll have to do that.
But today I think we should just stick with some of the reasons travel can be good for you, because I know a lot of people now, they're still kind of hesitant about traveling, and I get that, but I hope that in the next year or so, as things really open up, more and more people are able to get out and travel again. And just to remember why it's important to go out and experience the world and see what trends are emerging as travel begins to open up again.
Right. I agree. And I think too, the world has become so small for us because travel is easier, so much easier now. You think about when cheaper. When our parents were young, you would never think of doing the kind of travel that we have both done or that a lot of people have done. And, I started actually traveling more because of my job, and then just got the bug to travel for vacation and for fun. And then it turned into some other things for me as well. And there are trends that are popping up now that are indications of new ways people are looking to travel. Some of those have to do with wellness, which we've all heard about. There's certainly spas to go to, which who doesn't like spa? Who doesn't like a massage and a facial, right? But those can also be combined with some wellness around your health, such as a Miraval or a Canyon Ranch, which are fabulous places to go. And they can help you with your spiritual health, mental health, physical health. They're just really great places to see.
There's also some medical tourism that is going on these days. People are traveling out of the country to get medical procedures done.
That's very
true. A lot of dentistry and things like that.
It can be cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Because of our medical system. So... And then there's also travel with a purpose now. There are many opportunities out there, and we'll try to put some in the notes about opportunities to go and volunteer as you travel. So you can volunteer to help with the environment somewhere. You can volunteer to help with animals. I have a friend that went to help with the rhinos in Africa. It's called voluntourism. That's one way, but it's travel with a purpose, really. And that's happening all over the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we have a history of that, a tradition of that in our country, like the Peace Corps and things like that, to go and volunteer in areas that need assistance with different things. And so there are so many opportunities for that. And I think that's the kind of travel that is really just so valuable for helping you open your mind and broaden your world. And now it's becoming more and more mainstream, and there's industries that are popping up to support that.
Right. Definitely.
You found a couple of great articles that talk about that very thing. Yeah. And hopefully we can link those in the description so people can go and check them out. But
definitely,
that's a great way to travel and combine that experience with some other intention or concept or idea. So to me, it looks like travel is moving away from travel just for travel's sake. And there are a lot of people who still do that, and that's great. They're getting away. They're experiencing a different location for a while, and it helps you broaden your mind. But I think travel with a purpose is now becoming more and more commonplace.
Agree. And I think it's wonderful to be able to do that. So the other trend seems to be traveling for creativity. So I attended a writers' conference last fall. Those happen all around the world. And they're so much fun because it gives you the opportunity to meet other people like yourself who are working on things similar to you, have similar interests to you. So that great way to meet new people and see a new place, right? The cooking school in Italy that my friend Susan and I went to was wonderful. Again, we met such amazing people at that thing, and yet we had a little bit of time to do some tourism, but we learned how to cook these fabulous dishes, Mediterranean dishes, while we were there. There's painting, there's any kind of creative endeavor you can imagine. You can find a retreat or a trip related to it to do. And I think that's a great way to combine the two things as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's also something called Workaway.
Yeah, that's a new thing as well.
Where you can sign up to go and work somewhere in the world, and in exchange for your room and board, you work wherever it is you go. So
maybe it's a farm, maybe
it could be renovating a home,
right?
Or it could be
right.
It could be working at a bed and breakfast somewhere, or something like that. But it is a volunteer, it's a website, Workaway website. It's a volunteer program, and you choose your destination and you go and
what a great opportunity, right, for people
and volunteer. Yep.
who want to experience new places. Well, and the trend with work now, with so many people working from home, that again allows people to perhaps go live somewhere else and work from remotely from somewhere new that they want to experience and live. Could be short term, could be long term. So who knows? Yep. The world is our oyster.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Susan, one thing that I always think about when we're getting ready to talk about travel is I worry that people out there might feel like this kind of a topic is out of their reach, that they might not have the resources, especially now with inflation and the way the economy is. There might be people who don't have the means or feel like they don't have the means to really travel to, say, Paris or around the world right now.
Right.
And I wonder if we can give them something to help them sort of open their minds to the possibility that anyone can travel at any economic level. And there's easy ways to begin to kind of do that and sort of start small and work into possibly a bigger trip later on.
Right. Right.
So I was thinking one thing that folks can do wherever they might be located is start off by being a tourist for a day in your own hometown, in your own location.
And I think that's a great idea, because chances are, even if you don't live in a city like we do, you live near one, or even if you're not in a city, there are always experiences and places to see, probably within a 2-hour drive of where you live. And you may not know what they are, but most states have websites you can go on to look to see, hey, what is there to see and experience in my state? And I think they've gotten even as sophisticated now for you to be able to put in within a 2-hour drive, or within this zip code, or not far from this zip code. So like here in Raleigh, we're fortunate enough that we're 2 hours from a beach and 3 hours from mountains. And, we've got so many things within the city that we can see, but there are a lot of things not far from us that are wonderful to experience.
And, you and I love a free museum.
Yes, we do.
A free museum is great.
Absolutely. And those are available as well. So I think if you just look up places nearby you'll find there's a lot more than you may even realize.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To see.
For sure. And I'm sure there are blogs where folks are traveling inexpensively. And maybe we can try to find a couple and link them in the description.
Right. And a lot more people are actually camping or glamping now. They're doing the RV travel thing. And I think they've started blogging or writing about their trips, which road trips can be a lot of fun. And that's an easy way that, you can find great little hotels that aren't expensive if you want to take a road trip to a few different states and just see an area of the country that you haven't seen before. So you don't need an RV. You can just take your car and find some cute little places to stay.
Or throw your tent and sleeping bag in it. Yep.
Yeah.
I love a road trip. Oh, yeah.
So I think that can be fun as well.
We road tripped a lot when I was a kid. Primarily because my family didn't have a lot of money. And if we were going somewhere, we were going in the car. And the 6 of us would cram into our little Volkswagen Bug. Yes, you heard me correctly. And we would drive wherever we were going. We would routinely road trip to my grandparents' house, which was a 3-hour drive for us. And for me, that was a big deal. We would drive through Indianapolis and go around the speedway there and hit the little White Castle that was, I can't remember exactly what corner it was on, but it was on a corner around the speedway. And we would get a bunch of White Castles and French fries. And
yeah, it's great memories.
Yeah, it's a great memory. Oh, yes. A lot of fun there. We would road trip like that routinely.
We did as well, Joy, because we didn't have money to fly anywhere. So we would hop in the car, and living in Western Pennsylvania, we had a lot not far away. So we would drive to Harrisburg. My dad was a big history buff. We would drive to Philadelphia. We would drive to Washington, D.C. We would go to Hershey, went through the chocolate factory. We went to Niagara Falls. I mean, there were tons of things very close. We went to the Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, yay. I'm sure that's pretty interesting, though.
It actually was because, even though we were a family of 4 girls, we all are football fans. And my dad, given that he didn't have any sons, was thrilled that we even wanted to go.
Right.
But we would do things like that, and they were always fun. My parents made them fun. So there are many different ways to enjoy travel without hopping on a plane or going to some other country,
exotic location, or spending a lot of money.
Right, exactly. There's and all of those things are going to broaden your horizons and teach you something new.
I tell you, pack yourself a lunch and hit the road if you can.
Exactly.
Some of the funnest times I've had were eating a sandwich wrapped in tinfoil out of a brown paper bag at some museum where I was fortunate enough to go even on a field trip as a kid.
Right.
But yeah.
One of my funny memories from being quite small, actually, but I do remember it, is my oldest sister, her in-laws lived in D.C., and there's quite an age difference between us. And my parents took my sister and I, who are 2 years apart, down to Washington, D.C. to visit them. And they took us to the Capitol building and to Mount Vernon. And we
Loved
just
it.
thought
Yep.
that was great, right? Well, my sister's mother-in-law, who I adored, she just was a gem of a person. She used to tell this story all the time. And when I would come to see her, she would remind me of this, and I'll tell you how. But when we went to Mount Vernon, my dad had gotten us packets of M&Ms, and he gave them to my sister and I, and he said, "Do not open these until we get in the car." I did not listen. And the M&Ms flew out of the bag and were bouncing all over the floor at Mount Vernon.
Oh, no.
And I got in such trouble. So after that happened, Mrs. Michael, my sister's mother-in-law, anytime I went to visit her, had a package of M&Ms for me. Just to remind me of that. So those kinds of memories, you
Oh
can't,
my gosh,
you
they're
can't
wonderful.
buy those.
No.
Those are just
They're wonderful.
great things.
And I think the last thing I do want to say is if you're anywhere near DC, please try to go and enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, DC's my town. I love it.
So many wonderful things to see there, and all
Yes.
the Smithsonian's are free.
Oh, yeah. Please go. We've talked about that at length, but
We have.
I'm
but-
just saying, try to go see it if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. We hope that this episode provided some things to think about around travel, and we hope everybody gets to have some great experiences seeing either your hometown, someplace local, a different state, or the world, however you choose to do your traveling. But to us, it's meant a lot, and it's enriched our lives. And
I can't wait to get going again.
yeah, me
You know?
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We hope you'll join us next time for another episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Girlish Gurus. We hope you'll join us next time for a new, interesting, and fun topic. Be sure to check the description of this episode for any links or information about the episode's topics and to find us on our social media platforms.
And don't forget to download this episode, give it a good review, and share it with your girlfriends. The more interaction we get, the more episodes we can post.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.